Oh, hello. Are we live? It looks like I'm live. All right, so today I'm going to start a new project from scratch. This is the Git directory I want to use. Like there's my old project. I want to start it on GitHub because with GitHub it's easier to start the repository there and then clone it locally. So, not a new tab, new repository. Planning to work on fonts. So with this being a font library, I'm going to call it cali, as in calligraphy. I think that's about as much of a description I can give it for now. I like BSD3 because it has 3 clauses. MIT is basically the same thing, but it's like, is that 2 clauses? Is that 3 clauses? I don't know. BSD3, it's 3 clauses right there in the license name. Yeah, so there it is. Let's clone that. Oh boy. There we go. I still need to learn better ways to copy and paste with tmux. There we go, empty repository. So today is going to be pretty introductory. I wanted to start a new project from scratch. My vision is for this to be a font library for parsing and rendering fonts and maybe a little bit of typesetting if I get that far. But today I'll feel lucky if I can even start to parse a TTF font file. At first I want to get a hello world going from scratch in Fortran. And I'd like to get a little bit of CI infrastructure up and running with GitHub Actions if I can. And I'd like to do that from scratch as much as possible and try to avoid looking at my other GitHub projects and copying those as templates, which is what I usually do. So let's put our source in src, and then I'm ready for a window. Yeah. Not that. That's the old project. This is the new project. Come on, Neovim. Seems a little slow, isn't it? I don't remember how to make a new file. Is it percent? Yeah, it's percent. So, hello world in Fortran is pretty easy. Implicit none is kind of boilerplate, but if you leave that out, you can get into some trouble. We'll just hard code the semantic version number right there. And I think that's, no, I didn't want a new window. There we go. Okay, I think that's it for the name program, and then we can compile this like so. And that's it. but I don't want to type out that Fortran command every time I run this. I need a build script. Let me add cmake to the tags here for the stream tags. Because I am planning to use cmake, but the very minimal thing that we can do is have a build script. So call that build.sh, shebang bin bash. Like I said, I need to get better at copying and pasting in tmux, but that's the way that I do it for now. So now we can just run that. I'm going to want a clean script too. So that's basically the clean command, and this is the build command, and right, it doesn't have a directory. I think I want to just get into cmake as quickly as possible. Yeah, do I want to do that before the first commit? Yeah, let's get into cmake. So instead of running that, we're going to run cmake in the build script. And I never remember how to run cmake, so this is the part that's sort of hard to do without a template or without Googling a bunch of stuff. And I think I'll have to resort to one of those. At least one of those. Yeah, so with cmake you have a build directory and you have a target directory. How much does this tell me? Path to source and path to existing build. So -s and -b. That seems straightforward enough. But what if the build directory doesn't exist? Do I have to make it myself? I can't remember. Yeah, of course. So I think we're gonna need like a minimum required version or something like that. Is this the way that cmake works? Do I need to put that in quotes? I really can't remember. Add executable is the easiest thing to do. It has to be like that. Probably need more than that. Okay, so yeah, I predicted that we would get that warning. It's testing my compilers. Project needs to say what language it is. Is that how this works? Can't you just figure it out from the source file extension? Huh. That seemed to do something. Where's my executable? Ah, right. So make is like a build script. And the analogy that I've been thinking of is that cmake is like a build compiler. So cmake has like a compile time phase and a runtime phase. So this compile time phase, it generates make files, or it can generate Ninja files, or use whatever generator you like. And then the second step is actually running the build, which would invoke make or Ninja. So how does that work? I can't remember. How do I actually run the build? Like, is it cmake build? I think it's cmake -- build. Where was that? That was fairly painless. Okay, so first of all, I want to take care of this warning. And what is my version? Probably, no, it didn't just say. Yeah, let's say 3.26. I mean, it'll probably work in like 3.25 and several lower minor versions of cmake. But I know it works for the version that I'm using. So if cmake is going to nag me to add a minimum required version, I'll just force everybody to use the absolute latest. Is this the absolute latest? I don't know. There might be like cmake 3.27 by now. How the fuck does this work? With unknown argument, does it have to be a string? Do I need the patch version? Okay, I have to resort to Google. Really? Okay, I have to say version right there. Show me an example. Okay, so it's not wrapped in quotes. There we go. I also want a clean script. So we have the build script, and I want a clean script. It's going to be pretty easy. I have this directory build hard-coded now in several scripts. You could go absolutely insane and have like a third bash file which defines shared parameters like build, and then your clean script and your build script could all source that file, but I don't know, I think a little duplication is better than the wrong abstraction, so for now I'm just going to have this wet. Here's the clean script. I also want a run script. Yeah, might as well have a run script. Like, I really like the Rust ecosystem. Do I want to call it ecosystem? Maybe the Rust tooling, where you just have cargo build, cargo run, cargo test. But most other languages don't have anything like that. So we have to do it ourselves. What the hell, I'll leave that in there for now. So the run script is first of all going to build in case you haven't built, and then it's going to run the executable. So there it goes. It ran the cmake stuff and it ran my executable. And that should also work from the clean state. So first of all, you see there's nothing here. There's no build directory. Then if I run again and list, there's a build directory. That build directory wasn't there before. We just had the build script, but not the build directory. So that's about it for a basic hello world with Fortran and cmake, and a couple of building and cleaning and helper scripts like that. I think I might be ready for a commit. I think I want to make the I want to get the run script finished. So if I have command line arguments, I want to pass those through run.sh into the binary. So don't need that. Yeah, and that is get command line count, I think. Do I need to use a module for that? Or is it get command count? I can never really remember. So that's a thing. That's not a thing. I think I have to Google this again. Trying to use Google as minimally as possible on these streams. It's not, there's no get. So I typed out this, there's no get. So it should be like that, and we have to declare argc as an integer. That didn't work. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't, because I can't spell. And then if I do this correctly, and give it a couple arguments, it will say 2 arguments as opposed to 1 or 0. But my run script does not pass those along. So if I run it like this, it's 0. So I want to pass these arguments through run.sh into my executable. And I think, is it like that in bash? I think $* means all arguments. So whatever gets sent to this script, $* will copy all of those. Hello, Danny. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just getting a new project started from scratch, so I'm setting up the build system. I'm using cmake and Fortran and a couple of build scripts. I really like the Rust tooling where you can run things just like cargo run, cargo build, cargo clean. Most other languages don't have that, so I like to reinvent them from scratch. And I do that with a variety of shell scripts, build, clean, run. Eventually we'll probably have a test.sh here as well. but for now let's just run. So do these command line arguments pass? Yeah. So we had 2 command line arguments, and now there we have 2. You're looking into Fortran. It's very rare that I meet other people who even have an interest in Fortran. I think most people hear about Fortran and say, like, that's an old language, I don't want to use that. It's a dead language, nobody uses it, right? Well, I don't think that's true. I think it's a decent language. It has flaws, every language has flaws, but I like it. Hey, Callie. This is my cat, Callie. She just types. Come on, Callie. Don't type a bunch of spaces in the letter J. That's not what we want. And yeah, so this project is actually named after her. I'm saying it's a calligraphic library for fonts. Calligraphic is maybe a little bit of a loaded word, but I'm just saying that so I have an excuse to name this project after my cat. Yeah, so I think we have a basic system for build tooling in here. Might be ready to commit. And then I also want to get GitHub Actions running. So I want to ignore some of these. Did I spell that right? So I want to ignore the build directory. There we go. Build is no longer in there. I want to add the source. And then add everything. Just want to make sure the clean and the build works one more time. Just key mashing 3 random arguments here so that I can check these command line arguments are getting passed. So that seems to be okay. Yeah, and what have we done? Nothing so far. This is like the second commit. So we added a hello world and build tooling. Cmake build tooling, we're using cmake. So I'll push that, and then I think next I want to get GitHub Actions running. That's going to be pretty tough to do without referencing some of my other projects. So I think the way that GitHub Actions works is there's a directory like .github/workflows, and then you have a YAML file inside of that. So .github, I think I need -p to make 2 directories at once. Workflows, I think that's what it's like. And then in terms of the YAML format, there's no way that I'm going to remember that. Right. This gets annoying because I already have a hidden .git folder from the Git repository, and now there's a .github folder too, so that messes up my tab completion. Main.yml, and this is going to be the YAML file, so I don't really want to put anything in there yet. Yeah, you just got thrown into an existing client project with a new tech stack, and the code base is a mess. I think that's just the way that things go. Even if you make the code base yourself over the course of several years, it will become a mess. And then, unfortunately, you have nobody to blame but yourself. That's the way things go. So it feels really good to start something from scratch. That's one of the reasons I like doing side projects like this. So just getting everything started with a clean slate, it's nice. It's nice to do that occasionally. So we have a YAML file. Yeah, because essentially I have this GitHub repository, but it doesn't do anything. I don't have tests yet, but I would like to at least make sure that this compiles. Oh, mess was an understatement. It's utterly atrocious. Yeah. What's the tech stack like? Is it a language you don't like? Is it a build system that you don't like? I have mixed feelings about cmake. It's really the only build generator I have experience with. I used to use makefiles, just raw makefiles with no generator. That's a pain because then you have to have like one makefile for Linux, and then you have to make a different nmake file if you want to do that on Windows instead of using like a Visual Studio project or something like that. Anyway, we have source on GitHub now, but we don't have any workflows. And those would show up in the Actions tab. This is where you go to look at your CI on GitHub. I think I'm going to have to look at the tutorials to do this. Or like build something with cmake. Well, build something with custom build scripts. So if they have any like C projects or even C++ projects, there are like so many different options here. It's really overwhelming to, what is a simple workflow? I think simple workflow will work. So it's nice that like you don't have to remember what has to go in a YAML file. You can just click around in GitHub and they'll give you a template like this to get started with. Ubuntu latest is going to be good. I'm working on WSL on Windows, so basically Ubuntu anyway. .NET and Angular. I don't really have experience with either one of those. I was watching a tutorial about a guy that was using C#. Looks like an interesting language. I know a little bit of C++, so I feel like it would be a mistake for me to try to learn C++ and C#, so I kind of want to stay away from .NET. Is Angular a JavaScript framework? I don't really have a lot of experience with that either. But yeah, the project itself is messy. I understand. I understand the struggle. So I think this basic workflow should work for us, and this just shows us how to run like single line commands and multi-line commands. TypeScript. Yeah, I really want to learn TypeScript. I know a little JavaScript, but I don't know anything about TypeScript. From what I've seen, I think TypeScript is a little bit similar to Rust, at least in terms of the syntax. But in general, I prefer languages with type checking. So whenever I do like JavaScript or Python, I feel like this is totally dangerous. Like I'm gonna blow my foot off. Runs on the main branch. There are separate push and pull request things. There's a lot of stuff in this workflow YAML file that I'm going to end up deleting. Or maybe not. Okay, I think I don't really need a separate pull request thing. This is a project that I'm going to be working on entirely by myself, so I'm not going to have anybody sending pull requests unless I send a pull request to myself, which I might do, but then that should also be covered by pushes. Yeah. Working in an agency, you're constantly using new tools and tech stacks. Yeah, it's fun to learn new things because even if you're always using the same language for work, like I use Fortran for work, when you learn new tech stacks and new languages, that gives you a new perspective on the thing that you usually use, and maybe you'll start to program in a different way. So it can be nice to get that perspective. Java. Almost 10 years ago, I made like a little UI project in Java for work. It was terrible. I was so bad at it. I think I can like, yeah, GitHub is pretty cool here. It even lets you just start a commit from this template. Actually, I want to do tabs. That's pretty cool that they give us the option. I mean, the indent size doesn't really change anything if I use tabs, right? Blank. I think I'm going to call this main.yaml. What the hell does the preview do? Oh, you can edit the file and preview it with syntax highlighting. Okay, yeah, let's go with this and start the commit. So that should run something automatically now. Go back here. Yeah, we have this yellow dot, which means it's thinking about something. Now if we go to the Actions tab, you can see some more details. Why are there two of them? I don't know why there are two of these, but whatever. You can see the console output here. And it runs those things from the YAML file. That's basically it. So now I need to go into this YAML file and replace these hello worlds with my own build script. So we need to pull that locally because I just did that on GitHub directly. Using Azure for project management. Oh. I didn't even know you could do that. Oh, so Azure is like the CI, the continuous integration thing. It's not like a replacement for Jira, right? All right, yeah, have fun. Thanks for joining in. Oh, yeah, because I started editing this file myself. So I think I can just wipe that out. I'll stash it just to be safe. Okay. Come on, man. I should not have started editing that locally. Anyway, now it's pulled. Let's add a comment in this git ignore. I like the multi-line syntax, so okay, it did actually print this. So I'm just going to delete this one. What the fuck? I told GitHub to use tabs, and then it put in spaces here. Like it had this option in the GitHub UI to use tabs instead of spaces, and then it used spaces everywhere. Oh, a Kanban board. Yeah. I use Jira. I hate it. I think bug tracking tools are made to be hated by developers. All right, yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy that soccer game. I probably don't need this. Ubuntu latest. And then instead of echoing this, I want to actually run my build script. And it's probably not going to work. I think we might have to install Fortran within the YAML workflow, because the Ubuntu instance that this is running on, I don't know if it's Docker or AWS, or I don't know how that is set up, but it might not have Fortran installed, so we might have to install it within this main YAML. Oh, I didn't add any of these files. So first of all, I have to add these. I should have done that in the last commit. But it's a little bit late now. Could have just added those all at once. And this is from like 2 commits ago. So do that. Now I have those files here, and then I want to add the workflow. Okay, yeah, I meant to do that in separate commits, but I just did it all in one. Yeah, and of course that didn't build. Okay, so we have to do the chmod thing. Can I do that locally so that I don't have to put it in the script every time? No, that doesn't do anything. So I think I have to put it in the YAML script. And typically when I'm getting the GitHub workflows configured, I do a lot of commits because the only way to really debug the CI system is to just push it and see if it works. Maybe there's a way that you can run these locally and avoid having such a terrible looking history, but this works for me. So that's the way that I do it. That seemed to work. It built. It might not run. Claims that it built my binary, and I didn't even have to install Fortran, so that's pretty cool. If I get this running on Mac OS and Windows, then I might need to install it there, but for the Ubuntu instance that GitHub uses, it just works out of the box. I want to see if I can run it, even though I don't have proper testing. It would be nice if the executable could run and then print something so we can see that. Like when we did this, we can see this at least, so we know that the executable runs. So let's put that in the CI. Don't really need separate build and run things. I'm going to leave this here, but comment it out, because the run script will it also have to chmod. Yeah, this might not work actually, because we have to make the run script executable and then run it, but the run script actually runs the build script in turn, but it doesn't do this. So Not sure if this will work. Come on, where's the yellow dot? There's the yellow dot. I need a coffee refill, so I will be right back. Actually, I have a thing for this. First of all, that didn't work. All right, we're back. So that didn't run. I caught the X just before I got up. Yeah, so what happened here? Okay, yeah, it's the chmod again. So where do I want to put that? Can I just like make these executable and commit that to GitHub so that because I could run the chmod command in the YAML or in the other build scripts, but like if I could just do it once and commit it so that it works without having to do that. Okay, let's see if that works. So, of course, that file doesn't exist. So I want all of my shell scripts executability. I don't know if executability is a word, but that's what I did, right? So if we can do that, I can take out the chmod from the YAML workflow configuration. Yeah, I'm going to upvote it for now, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to go back and un-upvote that. Hey, that was it. Wow, that's good to know. See, it's good to like start projects from scratch sometimes, because if I copied something from one of my old projects, I wouldn't have learned this today. I need to update these titles. Yeah, there we go. That seems to be working. I'm going to upvote the answer too, because that's something that I wanted to know. Cool. Works for me. Right, now we can simplify. Don't actually need this. We can also fix some of these comments. probably want to run this on every branch, actually. So can I just delete this? Okay, I guess we'll leave that in. I want to make this a matrix eventually so that it runs on multiple operating systems, because it should work everywhere. Some of these comments are kind of useless, like this. Okay, that's good to know, I guess, but like a workflow is made up of one or more jobs. I think that comment is mostly noise. It's good to have it in the template, but I don't need this in my project. And look at that, a 23-line YAML. If I was good, I could probably memorize this, and I should have been able to write it from scratch without looking up the template on GitHub. But like, I don't really know the YAML syntax. I don't even know how things have to be indented and separated with colons or the leading dash. So this would be kind of hard for me to memorize, actually. Is that it? What the hell have we done? So we took out the ch mod. I'm not 100% sure if that will work. Come on, GitHub. Just have to refresh the page until it shows you something. Is this running? Maybe I totally broke the CI. Yeah, I think I totally broke it. Why? Guess I deleted something. Apparently I deleted something that was important. Maybe I do need the... Maybe I need this thing. Just undoing and redoing quickly so that I can get that back. Where was it? Was it here, right under on, or was it under jobs? It was under on. But I think I want to run it on every branch. So can I do that with a wildcard? There we go. Yeah, so apparently that part was important. You can't just delete everything. Yeah, that looks like it worked. And will that work with a wildcard? Let's find out. I like to make silly little commit messages sometimes. It's fun to be goofy. It's doing something. It's not just not running my action like it did when I deleted everything. Yep, that worked. That's not what I want. See if that does anything. I also want tabs instead of spaces. So search, 2 spaces, replace those with a tab globally. That's better. And now you can just set the tab stop to whatever you want. You can have big indentation, you can have little indentation without editing the file, and that's why tabs are better than spaces. Also, it makes a smaller file. Instead of 2 characters for 2 spaces, we have 1 character for each tab. So that's a little bit of a compression algorithm. Use tabs instead of spaces. I think I might also want to make a run matrix. I don't remember how to do that. This might be a mistake. This will probably take the whole rest of the stream for me to get it working. But let's try to do this on every operating system. We should be able to build on every operating system. And then the last I checked, I cannot run Fortran binaries on GitHub Windows. Even though I'm using Windows here, and I can also build this outside of WSL, actually that might need a more advanced build script. So I might just leave out Windows for now. Strategy. Does it have to say strategy? I don't know. Let's just copy it, see what happens. It's under jobs. Is it? It's my text editor. It's using tabs, not spaces, but somehow when I pasted, instead of this, I think I want Ubuntu latest and Mac. Is it Mac OS? I know the official name for the operating system is Mac OS. It's not OS X. It's not Apple. It's not Mac. It's Mac OS. And actually, like, the OS is capital, but I think in GitHub Actions we use lowercase for everything. And then I think it's the latest. So let's see. And then runs on, we have to update this, right? So if we look at this example, it says runs on matrix OS. Nope. I need to learn how to paste into tmux more efficiently. So will that do something? Let's cross our fingers and see what happens. It's probably just totally break everything. And best case scenario, I'll probably have to install Fortran on Mac with like brew or homebrew or whatever. that stupid package manager is. And it looks like it's not even running. Yeah, it's not even running. Oh, it ran, but it failed. Invalid workflow. YAML error on line 9. Line 9? Oh my god. Tabs don't even work. Is that true? Let me glance at my previous project, because this is fucking ridiculous. YAML is like the Python of JSON, if that helps you. Let's take a look at my last project. And what does this YAML look like? These are spaces. Yeah, you cannot use tabs in YAML. I forgot about that. Oh, and I did capitalize the OS in Mac OS. So we'll find out if that's significant or not. Alright, let's go back to spaces. So replace every tab with 2 spaces. Sure. And that should basically be an empty diff if we ignore white space. But if we don't ignore white space, it looks like I changed everything, and I really didn't. Maybe I had more problems than that. No, there's something else terribly wrong with this. No defined steps. What do you mean, no steps defined in steps? I definitely have steps. Uses. I think I have to look at my old project again. Sorry, I need to do this in a separate window. Jobs. So jobs is at the top level. That part looks okay. I think it might be a matter of indentation level. So if you see this, the runs on and the steps, they're indented underneath the example matrix level. So YAML truly is the Python of JSON because the indentation level of things controls how everything is nested. I would really prefer JSON where you can like see where the curly braces are and see which object is included in which higher level object. But you can't. You just have to rely on the indentation level with significant white space. So I hope it's this easy. I think it's still messed up. That's totally messed up. Can you tell me what the error message is? No, it won't tell me anything. Here we go. Okay, I might have to give up and copy the YAML from my last project because this is infuriating to deal with. Like this really doesn't look that complicated. I think I'm going to take out Windows for now. I think that's the matrix that I want. It seems like I don't need this. So I might just comment out a lot of this stuff for now. Bash. That's Windows debugging, we don't need that. Let's find out if we need that or not. And that just messed up the indentation. If I comment from there. No, my text editor does not know how to deal with YAML. I need this one. So I don't have a release or debug option yet. Let's just get rid of that. There is no test. Let's see what that does. Not that. Let's cross our fingers. still didn't work. CI is the worst. Line 13. What did this look like? So can the first one not be commented? Maybe I should stop using GitHub Actions because this is terrible. I hate Jenkins too. Maybe I should try Travis or something. What is the error? Okay, so, I have no idea. Let's just get rid of the comments. And let's get rid of that. That helped, I guess. It didn't fail immediately. Seems like that worked. Yeah. How about Mac? Mac probably doesn't have Fortran installed. It's waiting for a runner. This is the terrible thing about CI. It's always waiting for a runner. There's not just a machine available that you can test on, like if you test things locally. It has to wait for a runner. But we have a runner now, and it's running. Come on, GitHub, what are you doing? Ubuntu worked. Ubuntu ran cmake, and it ran my project. What is Mac doing? Yeah, there is no Fortran compiler, so we basically had that and we deleted it. Now where does this go? Is this going to be a step? So that's what I did in my last project. Where was that? That was under steps. It was after checkout, but before build. What the hell? I can't copy and paste between tmux windows. Really, it's Fortran. But to get Fortran, you install GCC with brew. And now this is going to take like 5 minutes to run again because it has to wait for a Mac OS runner. Oh, that was a lot faster. Installs. No, it's just. This is like Docker nonsense, I think. Counting objects. No, it's just the git checkout. Yeah, so you probably looked at what I committed there, and you're like, why the hell did I install GCC and then immediately reinstall GCC? Because that's just what you have to do on Mac on GitHub Actions. Because when you install, it says that GCC is already installed. So then you have to reinstall. And now it works. See, it runs my executable on Mac. Maybe they fixed their bug in the CI. So let's see, do I really need to install first, or can I just skip straight to reinstalling? Let's find out. It's probably not going to work. Maybe I never tested this before. Maybe I just got something that worked and was like, okay, I'm not going to mess with it anymore. So there's a chance that this works. It's doing something. It's not just saying like you can't reinstall because you never installed. Yeah, I think that worked as a Fortran compiler. That worked. The final thing I want to try here is this case significant? Does it have to be Mac OS with capital OS? It's kind of annoying. In fact, let me find like any uppercase letters. Because I'm against capitalism. I'm an anti-capitalist. I have to do everything in lowercase. Oh, come on. On Dvorak, dash is right next to enter. Dash is where the apostrophe key is on the QWERTY keyboard. So it's easy for me to accidentally hit that. It's probably not even going to work. It's going to say like there's no such operating system as Mac OS with lowercase os. Well, I mean, it's making an attempt. I think that's working. Yeah. And then, do I want to mess with the tabs and spaces again? try that one more time and see if that helps at all. First of all, did this one pass? It's still running. Yeah, it's done. It passed. So this is supposed to be a font project, and we are not getting anywhere close to like trying to parse a font on day one. But it's nice to have tooling set up, so it's good to spend time on it. Normally I probably would have saved a little bit and like copied this whole thing from a previous project, but it still might have taken just as long, who knows. Nope, yeah, YAML can't handle tabs. Will it admit that? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. This is why I hate Python and YAML. Is there a way to do like GitHub Actions with JSON instead of YAML? Well, that's not really what I want. Oh, yeah, that's not what I want. Is there anything about JSON in here? No. Okay, so apparently I have to use YAML for GitHub Actions. Alright then, we'll live with it. So let's revert that last thing. Nano, I need to configure this. I don't know how to save. Control X, yes. How can I ask it like what the current config is? Because I want to see that before I change it. I guess I can just do another reversion to test it. So then I'm going to say that I can't revert that, probably. So I can revert the reversion as a test and then abort it if I can figure out the editor. And this is VI, yeah, okay. But I don't want VI, I think I want neovim. So an empty file should abort the commit. Aborting commit due to empty commit message. So I actually want my editor to be neovim. Even though I have an alias in my bash RC that makes vi point to neovim, that doesn't work with the git config. So now if I do this, what the, what did I do? So that's NeoVim, I can tell by the color scheme. And now I have like all my key bindings and everything that I like. So there we go, clean slate. Let's see what happens if I attempt Windows CI. I think it's probably not going to work, and there's probably going to be no way for me to get it to work. But I don't know, maybe GitHub Actions has fixed their Windows G Fortran bug. So let's find out if that'll run. In addition to Mac OS, let's do Windows latest. Windows latest. Let's see what happens. It's probably not going to have G Fortran, and if it does, it probably won't run. And it might need a different generator. I don't know how cmake is going to work, because right now I'm using Windows, but I'm running in WSL, so it's not really native Windows. And it might need a different generator, as opposed to like Unix make files or whatever the default is on Windows. It's thinking. Project is more shell and cmake than Fortran at this point. Eventually it's going to be mostly Fortran. That's interesting to look at. Right. It uses PowerShell as the default shell. So that's the first problem. Do I want to deal with this? I don't want PowerShell, I want Bash. How do I like set the default shell? No, this is another nightmare scenario where I have to get the indentation exactly right, or else it's going to completely break my YAML. I don't know if I even want to mess with this. Jobs, name of job. Jobs, name of job. Directly below runs on at the same level as runs on. I don't want PowerShell, I want Bash. Because if we take a look at this error message, it's saying PowerShell is trying to run build.sh. But we shouldn't let PowerShell run it, we should let Bash run it because it's a Bash script. And then this thing is a cascading error. So this is the important error message. I think what I did in my last project is instead of setting the default shell, I just put bash in front of every one of these. Like, whoa, off by a column. I just did that. But then you have to like do that individually for each command that you run. But like I always want to use bash. PowerShell is a stupid shell, so I never want to use that. I just want to make bash the default, if that will work. But I don't know if it'll work because that's not the way I did it in my last project. So let's see if that helps. Linux is the best operating system. Like, it always finishes the workflow first, and then Mac OS is usually second, and then Windows is the absolute slowest. It's the worst operating system. Come on, build something. That has to be a good sign, right? It should just fail immediately if I did something wrong. But like, where's the output? After running for 1 minute and 10 seconds, there should be some output instead of absolutely nothing. Is this just hanging indefinitely? What is this doing? It should not take 2 minutes, and we're going on 2 minutes. What are you doing, man? What is my build doing? Can you tell me something? Can you show me an error message or a little bit of console output? Let me refresh this because something seems terribly wrong. What the hell? It's gonna time out eventually, right? This can't just run forever. In the meantime, let's do a preview of what this project is going to be. So I was looking at somebody's blog the other day. Yeah, here it is. This is the blog that I was looking at. I want to parse a font file and then render text in Fortran. So this is, let's get the LaTeX font. The name of the default font in LaTeX is called Computer Modern. So let's download that. I probably have it locally somewhere, but let's download it so that I know where it is in my download folder. Come on. Come on. Oh, there it is. I don't know how Chrome works. Come on. Windows Explorer is crashing. Are you going to respond? There we go. Let's extract that. It's just a collection of TTF files in a zip. So there we go. Come on. And there are like different styles. I assume it's like italic and bold italic, and every possible combination. But somewhere in here, RM, I think this is just the Roman font, which is kind of the default one. if I drag it into this guy's blog, Steve Hanoff, he has a nice blog here on how to parse TTF files. So I just dragged and dropped a font file here, and it's rendering all of the font characters directly in the browser. At some level it is like rasterized, so like you can see if you zoom in all the way it's pixelated, but somehow these fonts are defined in terms of like splines and control points. I think he ignores that and just does straight line segments between every control point. But like if I could do that, that's a good start. And then the first thing is just going to be parsing the font. So that's what I eventually want this project to be. But today I'm just focused on getting CI up and running. So it's been running for 5 minutes. Yeah, there's something terribly wrong here. And I think I'm just going to give up on Windows, maybe. Because this should not take 5 minutes to run. Like Mac ran in like 30 seconds. 30 seconds was the slowest stage. Maybe it was closer to a minute. And then Ubuntu ran in like 5 seconds total. So Windows should not take 5 minutes, even with Windows being what it is. I think I'm going to cancel this. And then let's undo those defaults. Let's just try putting bash right here. Is this going to be valid YAML? I have no idea. Where's my browser? Here we go. So it was trying to build. Should not take 6 minutes to build a Hello World program. I think I'm just going to give up on Windows. Okay, so it is valid YAML because Ubuntu did it with no problem. So while this is running, if it ends up running at all, I think I can at least get the file name of the font file. Where do I want to put that? Do I want to have a fonts folder, or do I want to have that as a subfolder inside like something called assets? And then what's the license on this thing? Sure, I have to redistribute this. I can't just copy the font file without copying the license. SIL open font license. Redistributed freely, as long as they are not sold by themselves. Permissions and conditions. Can't sell it. Okay, I'm doing this for free. we have to include the copyright notice, so we have to include this license file. That's straightforward enough. All right, so I just have to copy a font, and I have to include this license file along with it. What the hell was the name of it? Downloads, computer modern. Ah, right, this is WSL. Now I have to remember my username, which is really annoying because I have a different username on every single computer that I use. And what was that? Like CMU RM something? I want this one, CMU NRM. And I need the license, which I think it's just TXT. And yeah, there we have it. So I want to pass this. This is the font. Fonts are defined in a TTF file. There are a few different file formats for fonts. There's like OTF and there's TTF. I don't really know much about the pros and cons of those. Those are for like desktop fonts. And then for the webs, for web development, there's like a web open font file like WOF or WOFF. But I think what I'm going to do is use TTF. So I'm going to pass this file name as an argument to my program. And then eventually it's going to parse this file and then render some text using that font. So I think we can start on that. And did I close? No, I still have it. Some more, yeah, because I have main.yaml now. This is the one that I want. So we're going to have some very simple command line parsing. For now, if it's not one, it needs one argument for the font file. I think it's 1, 0 would be like the program name, if that's even available at all through this API. But I think the first argument is 1. And then we can do that. There should be ways to error check, like if it overflows that buffer, you can have like an extra argument here that tells you that. But for now, I don't really care. I just want to print the thing. But we should check that you at least defined an argument. this. I think this is the way that I return an error code to the system. That didn't work. How the hell does that work? Does it take an argument instead of returning a thing? Do I have to use ISO Fortran env? Okay, that's the way that it works, I guess. Is it? Yeah. But I want to run it with fonts, computer modern, whatever that is. There we go. So I passed a command line argument and it's printing in Fortran. So maybe we can start to parse this. I really don't know anything about the details of the TTF file. So if we look at this, it's binary. Like, who knows what this means? We can look at that with a hex editor. If I get bang percent xdd, that's the way that you do xxd. What? Didn't I just do this yesterday? Maybe not on this computer. Percent bang. There we go. Except, there we go. That's how I wanted to hex edit it. So it's percent for the whole file, and then bang for a shell command, and then xxd is the built-in hex editor. So that's how you get a little bit more of a helpful view on binary files in VI. So these are the contents of a hex file, or of a TTF font file. So there's something about glyphs, there's a header, and then there's a bunch of data. So we're going to have the first step of rendering fonts is going to be figuring out how to parse this file. And that's why I have to refer to this guy's blog. So shout out to Steve Hanoff. We're going to get into this soon. Let me refresh this page so I don't have to scroll through the font that I rendered. So I think even uint is problematic in Fortran because Fortran doesn't have unsigned integers. But we're going to have to do things like have fixed point readers because font files use fixed point floating, well, I can't say fixed point floating point numbers because it's not floating point, it's the opposite of that. So we're going to have functions to do that. Okay, so there's no Fortran compiler on Windows. Now that we're switching back to CI. So maybe I can install that. I think I can do that with Chocolatey. How did I do that here? I think I did it by setting a generator. But the problem is it uses the Visual Studio generator by default. So I think I just want to not deal with Windows for now. What do I want to name this module? Because I don't want to hard code 0. I want to have like exit success. And maybe it's already a parameter. Is there like an exit success status? IOStat. They have various error codes, but they have no success code, which you kind of just have to hard code as 0. _m is for module. That way I can have like a type that's cali or a variable named cali, but the module is cali _m. So let's have some parameters here. Instead of 0, yeah, let's do it like that. Might as well have exit failure too. Do I want to have like multiple return codes, or let's keep it simple? We can check that like this. This is how you check the error level on Linux. So it's not -1, it underflows and goes to 255. But if I provide a font, then it's successful. I think it's fine to just have this license in there. I don't know if I need to reference this license from the top level license. I think it's fine for a side project. As long as I include this somewhere in the project, I think it's okay. Eventually we're going to have this split between like a main program and a library that has the module and everything that handles the logic. But for now it's just all in one file. And the actions should fail. I think. Because if we look at the way that this is run, there are no arguments here. So that should fail. Because it's going to say I need an argument, return code -1, and that should, it's good to test whether CI detects errors or not, so let's just leave it like that for now. And verify that the CI fails. I think this is good, so it should still compile at least. Oh. What? Yeah, because I didn't even test this locally. Come on, man. Oh, so that's a problem with my run script. So if this fails, is that how we do it? There we go. So if that fails, it shouldn't even try to run this. Oh. All right, let's look that up. How do I do the status? Oh, it's status, not iostat. That's a little better. And then this should still fail. If I do it this way, it should pass. Looks good. So the CI should still fail because I'm running it without an argument. Yep. Yeah, so bad command line arguments. And it asks you to provide a TTF font. So let's fix that. Let's fix it in the YAML. No, I think I want to fix it in the run script. So instead of passing arguments through this, I think I just want to have the font file hard-coded here. And the path to that is that. I think that should work. Maybe we could add logic in here that says if there's a finite number of arguments, use that. And then if there are no arguments, use this as the default. But for now, I'll just hard code it in the run script. And now the CI should pass. Nope. Why? What the hell did I just commit? Is it the YAML? Did I do something wrong in the YAML? Oh, yeah, because I'm not actually using that script. So I don't want two separate stages. I just want I think that should work. I'm all out of coffee. Hey, that looks like it worked. I think I'm just about done for today. I don't think I can really make any significant progress of opening the file and parsing it. I do have a little bit of time though. So what the hell? Do I want to start to refactor this? I don't know. Because what? I want to have a subroutine that parses the font file, but then what should it return? Some type of struct, I guess. This needs error handling. Says it can't open that. Why not? Did I check the right thing? iostat equals I. Oh. Okay, that's better. And then if I give it a file that doesn't exist, it should catch that. catch that because it doesn't check the mode of opening. So it assumes that I want to make a new file, and then it creates a new file, and that's not an error. And it actually created. So, how do I do it in read mode? Read only, action read, or status old. I think what I usually do is I do it by the status, but action would seem to make more sense. I think I want to try action and see how that works. And does read have read as a string? So this should fail. I have to recompile. And rerun, so we can do that as like a one-liner. Yep, can't open that, but if I do the default computer modern font, it's cool with that. So that's an error if I give it a file that doesn't exist. If I give it a file that does exist, it's fine when I open it in read-only mode. Do I want to start to parse this? Probably not. I mean, the header is the first thing, right? Guess I have to read the tables before. No, isn't there like a file header? I don't know if I should look at the Apple documentation directly. Like, I already looked at this blog yesterday, so if I could rely on only this blog, that would be simple. Because this looks like a lot. I don't know if I want to look directly at the Apple documentation. So this might be helpful. This has more information on the Bezier curves. This blog sort of skims over Bezier curves, and I think he treats everything as either straight lines or just the control points themselves without the lines in between the control points. The lines or splines in between the control points. But in terms of like just reading the header, it might be more simple for me to focus on this blog rather than looking straight at the Apple documentation. Maybe I want to split this. paste that into the split. I know you can't see everything behind my webcam, so sorry about that. Scalar type. uint32. I don't know. Let's see if we can read whatever the scalar type is. Num tables is probably going to be more helpful. uint16. So 32 is 4 bytes. Scalar type. And then uint16 is 2 bytes. So those are the first two things that we read, right? And these are going to be signed, not unsigned, so we'll have to correct for that somehow. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. So I think, can we do stream access? Don't remember if this exists in Fortran. Okay, so that read something. And eventually we'll have to convert that from signed to unsigned. But I think I have to end the stream now because I've been going for over 2 hours. So I'm gonna commit that and call it a day. Like to do as much of this on screen as possible. I might do a little refactoring, like take things out of the main function, and I might do that off stream. Is this working? I think it did something. Yeah, those are the same two numbers that I had locally, right? 256 and 4864, yeah. So with that, I think I'm going to call it a day, and we'll pick this up another time. Bye.